Bobcat Nation, it's time once again for another Coach's Corner, and we're here on the beautiful West Campus cross-country course in front of Brunner Rock, and we're talking with Rich Dobson. It's a new face to the Coach's Corner, and we're going to get you a little bit more information on Rich in just a second. He's the assistant cross-country coach here for the Bobcats, and we're going to talk a little bit about the programs. Thanks for being with us, Rich.
No problem. Glad to be here.
All right, so first of all, Rich, it's a name you might recognize, Bobcat Nation, because Rich, a two-time all-conference runner for us, probably one of the best men's runners in program history. And now it's been, what, 3 years, I think, since you've been coaching?
Yep, 3.
Okay, so 3 years for Rich, and how does it differ, you know, preparing yourself for the weekends, and what's the differences, the main differences between being a coach and being a student athlete here at Georgia College?
I guess the number one advantage to it is I am a pair of eyes that is looking in on a situation than rather being part of the situation. And you know, while I was a runner here, Joe and I kind of had an agreement where we would both come up with you know, weekly workout plans, and kind of as the schedule went on, you know, I was kind of part of the training while I was running as well. But now that I'm not running, I can kind of really objectively look at, take the time to look at each runner individually and assess things from there, and it's a lot easier to do that without me being affected by it.
I got you. Now, I know as a senior as well, you know, you were an exercise science major, and you had a key role in a lot of the strength training, what with the ropes and things like that. So has this been a goal for you for some time to be a cross-country coach?
Yeah, it was actually an opportunity that came to me with my affiliation with the master's program, the human performance program with Mike Martino, and Joe offered me the graduate assistantship so I could take what I learned in the classroom and apply it more effectively at a high level with a bunch of athletes, and so far it's worked out really well, and I've learned every season I learn a tremendous amount more than I did the season before.
And it has worked out well. We've had a great season, you know, a lot of personal records and also breaking some school records at that. Let's get into some specifics with the ASU tri-meet we had just last weekend. I know you took the reins because Joe wasn't there. How'd you feel about the performances? Let's talk a little bit in specific about each team and who you think is running real well right now.
Well, it was an unusual meet that we were a part of because it was run on the Augusta Riverfront Trail. And the purpose of the race, as mentioned by Adam Ward, the Augusta State coach, was we just wanted to get out there, get everyone on a flat, fast course, and give everyone some confidence leading into conference. So that's exactly what it was. People were saying it was faster than a track race because there's no turns. It was straight out, turn around a cone, and you come all the way back. So on a track where you're turning every 200 meters, you don't even have that to deal with. So people could just get in their pace, get in their rhythm. There was a lot of shade, the trees covering, so the heat wasn't an issue, and people could just go. And it was great. We broke, gosh, three records, 2 records on the girls' side, and I think 4 came under the record on the guys' side. So it was great for them.
Now, in specifics, I know for the women's side, we finished 3rd out of the 3 teams, but you did have Allison Loans and Carissa Ekstrom, a couple of solid runners, take that school record for you. Now, Allison has been a steady runner for you all year. She's been a leader, I think, for the last 4 or 5 races at least. What kind of runner is is she, and how is she doing this as a freshman?
Well, I can kind of put my hands up in the air where she just is reacting to our training so well, where I've mentioned a couple times in practice that it's almost like it's magic, where she just is very compliant with our training program, what we do on and off the course. And just a few weeks ago we were in this specific workout, and she ran each interval on average of 20 seconds per mile faster than the time she did it just 2 to 3 weeks prior. And it's just unbelievable. We have a little joke with her and Daniel Horseman, who seems to be our #1 guy rather consistently. We're calling them our gingerbread men and women. You know, you got to catch them if you can, because they're just going away, and it's up to everyone else to catch them, and it's up to them to stay ahead. And you know, in a sport like that, like cross country, that's only good for the team.
And now Carissa did a decent job trying to catch Allison Loans this past weekend. It also broke the school record, so she's second in school history now in that 5K distance. Now Carissa was a girl that had a nice impact as a freshman. Didn't really hear too much from her in her sophomore year. I think she battled some injuries and things like that, and now she really seems to be picking things back up in her junior season. Give me a little bit on Carissa and her work ethic, perhaps.
Sure. After practice this morning, I had the chance to catch some breakfast with some runners on the team, and Carissa was one of them. And I talked to her about how uh, her work ethic is so well that even though she's had some trouble last year. She battled some injuries and some anemia issues, which can be hard to come back from. But I told her that she can rest assured that she has the confidence because she has 3 seasons under her belt, and she knows how to do it. She knows what she needs to do in the off season. She knows what she needs to do to be ready for a cross country season, and it's just the only way you can learn that is through experience. So she's very confident in everything she's learned, and she's very compliant as well with the training program, and she's a great person to have. And she's inching closer and closer and closer. She wants to catch that gingerbread woman. She wants to catch Allison. So, like I said, with cross country, it's great. You got one person who wants to stay ahead, and you got the other people who wanna catch them. So, and that just creates a good team.
Yep, and then let's switch gears over to the men's side. You got Daniel Horseman, who's been, your stud, your lead guy for weeks upon weeks now. And Daniel, another one of those type of situations like Carissa, where didn't have too much of an effect as a freshman and a sophomore due to some injuries and other things. But we keep talking about him week in and week out because he's your lead guy, and there's nobody better than Daniel right now.
Absolutely not. He's had 5 PRs this year. And with Daniel, it comes down to something as simple as if we can keep him injury free, we can keep him running, and then he gets better. We actually changed his foot strike this summer. He ended up running in the big craze, the barefoot running, if you're familiar with that. He runs in those 5-finger shoes, and what that does is it changes your foot strike. Instead of being more of a heel striker, you're more of a mid-foot striker. And he's had chronic knee pain up until that point where he changed his footwear and changed his foot strike, and it seems to be working out for him. Nothing's bothered him, no knee pain, and that was the biggest limitation. Now he can train and put in all the miles and all the work that he can do, that he needs to perform at this level, and he's just been doing that, and it's been tremendous. He's just been getting better and better and better.
Yeah, and with the guys' side, it's tricky to ask you who else to talk about because they run in such a pack. The rest of the fellas do. You've got anybody from Tyler Maddox to Zach Robinson, Philip Lasky. You got freshmen in there. You got seniors like Tim Carey that are getting those extra spots for you. Your men's squad seems to be just very deep. Is that going to be one of the strengths of this team when you get into conference meets and things like that?
Absolutely. This was the opposite of last year, where the girls were just so deep and so tight packed. But the guys, we have 8 guys that could be in our top 5. And like you said, the 3 solid freshmen we have, Zach, Phillip, and Tucker, they've been in and out of our top 5. And our senior, Tim, he's been in and out of our top 5 as well. And then, of course, with Tyler and Daniel, and even Rob and Colin, they were slow to start, but now they're picking it back up. And it's great when 1 or 2 guys have a bad race, the other 2 that were on deck can slide right in there and run a good time. So it's very good for us, very good.
Now, I know it's tough to pick then in that case the 7 guys and gals that you're going to be taking to the Peach Belt Championships next weekend. And so you've fleshed out those lineups a little bit. Can you tell us, who's going to be making that trip up to Evans, Georgia to compete for a conference championship?
Well, like I mentioned to you earlier, the guys' side, we're going to take 8. Only 7 can run, but we're having some issues with one of our teammates. He might have some other commitments that he can't get out of. So instead of taking 7 and losing him last minute, we're going to take 8. And if we lose him last minute, we can run a solid 7. And on the girls' side, unfortunately, we're not as deep. So we have had our number 1 runner at the beginning of the year, who was Danny, go out for 3 weeks with a foot injury, and she came back this morning just a couple hours ago, and she ran a solid threshold run for us, and she didn't seem like she took a day off, in terms of fitness. So we're happy to have her back. And another girl, Sarah, she's on the edge. She's had a back injury, so we're still unsure if she's going to run. So we're actually going to bring 7 and on the girls' side, and if we can't run Sarah due to injury, then we'll only run with 6, so we'll be 1 short in terms of the maximum we can take. But that'll be okay because we got a solid 5.
Okay, we'll look for the results next weekend. That's going to be up in Evans, Georgia, at Blanchard Woods Park. First part of the Peach Belt Fall Championships. They're packaging the Final Four for soccer as well that weekend, all there in that Evans, Georgia area. I recommend you get up there. There's going to be a lot of Peach Belt athletic action. Before we go, I wanted to mention this rock that we're standing in front of. This is in memoriam of John Brunner, who's a former runner for Georgia College. He passed away, unfortunately, in a summer road race, and they're using this as a memorial spot. They do all their practices here, and it's a meeting place for the team and an excellent way to honor a great young man who a former Bobcat and will always be a Bobcat in our hearts. Can you ran with John? Can you give us a little bit about him as a person and what this type of large structure means to the team?
Yeah, I was actually a senior when John was a freshman, and he was a solid number 5 for us that year. So when we traveled to Minnesota and Vermont, I think those were the couple of trips we took, he came with us. And he was just a very, very nice man. Like I said, I was a senior, he was a freshman, so we weren't that close, but it would have been great to get to know him as the years went on. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. But, everyone that came in contact with him just had the same opinion. He's just a nice, good friend. So.
Yep, John's a good guy, and it's a nice memory to him to have this large type of structure just to keep an individual fresh in your minds. But this is it for the Bobcat Coaches Corner. Again, root these guys on for the Peach Belt Conference Championship, get some strong finishes there, and then look forward to the NCAA Regionals. This has been a Bobcat Coaches Corner, cross country with head coach or assistant coach Rich Dobson, and thank you for your time, Rich.
No problem, thanks.